Hi there. Thank you so much for checking back. Now, I know you all have been following. I've been doing this series of videos with my friend Kate Machado, who's a registered dietitian. And if you haven't watched the previous videos, we're kind of going in somewhat of an order. So I would encourage you to go back and start at the beginning so that you can kind of follow the path that we're taking here. Okay? Now, today's topic is something that I know many people worry about, and it's kind of tied up in the anxiety of seeing a dietitian and what that really means and what she's going to make me do, or what do I have to be prepared for, and all those thoughts that we feel when we are trying to make an appointment and we're thinking and considering getting help, right? So the question today is, how do you put together a meal plan for someone, and how much say do we have if we have a concern, or if we have a really bad fear food, or if we have actually something we're potentially allergic to?
Sure.
How does that all kind of work?
So, thanks for having me again. And this is a really, I think, one of the most important topics when it comes to working with a dietitian, because what we do is create meal plans and help for any client or patient to begin eating again and getting to more of a consistent basis. And so the last time we talked, it was about our first session. And oftentimes within that, there'll be some food, maybe meal plan, maybe food recommendations covered for the first time. But at this level, it would be more of in the follow-up session or the week after that, where it gets a little bit more specific. But definitely there will be some type of food recommendations, and oftentimes in the form of a meal plan. With the different levels of care, as we've talked about before, it's going to vary greatly. So I think maybe speaking from the lowest level to the higher level, I can kind of go from there.
Yeah.
So when somebody comes in for maybe a follow-up where we're going to actually be creating a meal plan, it completely depends.
So you don't do it at the first session?
Not usually 100%. Usually
Okay.
there's more of like a tester meal thing done, and then for me it's more important when somebody comes back and to know how they did. Were they even able to eat at all by themselves? And if not, then it's not going to be useful for me to create the complete detailed meal plan for a whole week, every meal, everything you should buy at the grocery store, if none of that's going to happen. It's just a waste of both of our energy, and then we don't want to tell the truth if it doesn't happen. So it's more important to see, how it goes maybe the first time, and then based on that, what kind of thing can we do?
Okay.
So let's say, somebody came in for their first session, and I gave some general recommendations, maybe eating, 3 times per day, and then maybe keeping track of what they ate for me. So, and then they come back and we kind of go over together, well, what did they eat? How much were they able to eat? Were they comfortable eating it? Were they missing any major food groups? Did they leave off fat totally? Did they not eat any carbohydrates? Are they not eating meat? Are they, being vegetarian in some type of form? So based on whatever that individual is doing in an outpatient setting, or in a kind of like private practice setting, I will work really closely with the individual, basically to get them to eat a certain amount of nutrients, whether that's calories, fat, protein, minerals, vitamins, things like that. And whichever way I can get a person to eat it, I'll do it. It doesn't matter if it's the same thing over and over, because in the beginning, the most important thing is to just eat again. And then as time goes on, and it may get easier and easier, or harder and harder, then we adjust. So there is a lot of input based on the individual level at that private practice kind of outpatient level. Because you have to buy the food, you have to eat the food, you're responsible for it completely. But then taking it a step up, if you are in a IOP or PHP level of care, there is going to be not very much say over what you're eating while you're in the program. And that could be 1 to 2 meals per day. And that will be designed by a dietitian in order to cover a lot of, address everything. So it's going to cover, the basic nutrient level. And it'll be adjusted calorically based on your need and your behaviors. But the choice in what type of food to eat won't really be very flexible.
Because everybody eats the same thing. I mean, if any of you have been to inpatient or any kind of treatment, it all looks the same. It is the same.
Yeah.
Just to kind of, on the therapy side, there's a lot of comparison in general, body type, food, all sorts of things, and
Yeah.
that kind of puts the kibosh on that.
Yeah. And sometimes, depending on the treatment center, they will allow maybe a few exceptions. For example, if, one of the things I really don't like to eat is cilantro. I am allowed to pick cilantro off of my food. That's interesting because for me, that just makes my food less enjoyable. But there are limits to what it can be. It can't be like, oh, I don't eat cheese or anything with fat. I don't eat grains. It's not going to be a broad category. It'll be something very specific that will, really, maybe before your eating disorder started, there was a food item that you really didn't enjoy, and that will maybe be allowed. But other than that, you are most likely will be required to eat whatever you're served and eat the full amount. And that sounds really scary if you were just hearing this for the first time. But it gets a lot easier because there's a lot of support. Everyone's doing it. The dietitian or a dietitian assistant or a therapist will be eating and supporting the group during that time.
Yeah, you don't eat alone. We will eat with you. We eat the same thing as you. Yeah. We talk about it. We keep, and then after that, usually I would run a group. We used to do this like shop and cook night. And once after the meal, we would run a group and we would go around and everybody talk about the challenges, how they feel. Mm-hmm. So you have that time to process. I know it's scary, like Kate was saying, but we're there to help. Yeah. That's why we're there.
And then just at even a higher level of care, maybe you're in residential or even hospitalization level, you may get to choose between option A and option B occasionally, or you may get to work with a dietitian to develop exactly what your breakfast plan will be and your lunch plan will be and your dinner plan, and the hospital staff or the clinic staff will prepare it for you. But once that is decided, and there may be like 2 choices, you're required to eat 100% of it. And so the first week of treatment is usually really, I think, the hardest part with food, because the therapy is really nice, it's really helpful, they're really connecting and enlightening, and the food sucks. But it's also really freeing because obviously you haven't been eating in a normal, regular fashion for quite a while, and your body is not probably doing okay because of it. And so when you're, given permission to eat again and to eat foods that are normal, it's scary, but it feels so good because you're allowed to eat this food. And so there's part of it that's really freeing for your healthy self. And as treatment goes on, it gets easier and easier, and then we work a lot more with that side. And the more progress you make in eating regularly and not having to refuse to eat or not eating all of it, the more freedoms are given on somebody's meal plan. Yeah. So it's really, it's hardest in the beginning, and it gets a lot easier, and it gets to be a lot of, I don't want to say fun, but it can be exciting when you start to include foods that you thought you might never be able to eat again into your normal life. So I think it gets to be really exciting.
Yeah, and it's exciting for us to watch, I think, as well, because like she said at the beginning, you're trying to connect with me and we're having a good time. We're just kind of getting to know one another, and then you're going to probably be frustrated with Kate or whoever your dietitian is because, like she said, there aren't a lot of choices at the beginning, and it's going to be overwhelming. But that's why you have me, and then later on, you'll love the fact that you have Kate to, incorporate certain things that you used to be a binge food and you couldn't eat regularly, or any kind of thing that you used to do. She'll slowly incorporate it in, and we can do food challenges where we go out and we eat out at a certain restaurant or do something that used to be a binge thing, or and we eat a normal amount. It's exciting.
Yeah. I think it's exciting. I like to work with people in their meal plans because it's all individual, and then getting to a level where it starts to become really just a regular process.
Yeah, so that's just a little kind of snippet about what working with a dietitian looks like, and as you're going through each session, kind of what to expect, and not to be so scared of what a meal plan looks like, because like Kate's saying, she'll work with you and we'll just take it from where you are. We're not going to start you at level 2000 if you're just thinking about it, right? So there's kind of, don't be so scared, just be as honest as you can. Just like I say with therapists, the more honest you are, the more we can work with you, and the better treatment you'll have, and the more success we'll have, right? So I hope that was really helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. so that when I post more videos we're going to ask some more questions of Kate and bug her just a little bit more, you'll know about it and get notified. And don't forget to check out my website. I have a free workbook on there that is great to get you started. I know if you're just thinking about recovery and it seems really scary, this is a great tool to kind of get those wheels turning and get you thinking about recovery and your ED and kind of the whys and the what purpose it serves, right? So let's just keep working together, right? We're in this together as we work towards a healthy mind and a healthy body.